So next up is Jacqueline, who I personally know. I've met Jacqueline a few years ago. Jacqueline is a presenter on a Sky One show called What's Up TV. She's been on a few red carpets. I think she said she's brushed shoulders with Will Smith. So maybe ask her later on how is the shoulder of Will. Her talk's going to be called Taking the Leap, so let's put a round of applause together for Jacqueline.
Thank you, Aaron. Lovely introduction. Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be here this morning for the second Mo conference. And yeah, Aaron was not wrong. I'm a presenter. I work on Sky One. I host a TV show there every Saturday. It's just finished. And I'm a host as well. Part of presenting is often hosting events. And actually, with the lovely Jeffrey Witherspoon over there, who'll be speaking a bit later on, I hosted the first Mo conference a couple of years ago, which was an absolute treat for me. So to come here and speak this time wasn't as simple a yes as you would imagine. I'm used to talking at prestigious events. I've spoken at BAFTA, I've spoken in the Indigo 2 to thousands and thousands of people. I have done loads of hosting, but this is the first time that I'm standing on a stage and speaking about myself. So like all of the other speakers, I'm bricking it. So yeah, do bear with me. I might appear to be absolutely fine, but yeah, inside I'm like jelly. Okay, so my talk is about taking the leap and how I got from what I call my former life to my current life, which is working in media, working in TV, and doing the job that I absolutely adore. And I took the leap from one life into the next, so to speak. And I'm going to describe that process through a handy acronym that I've created from the word LEAP. So I'll talk you through that. But before we start on the acronym, I want to know from all of you guys, when you're about 4, 5, 6 or 7, if you could shout out to me, tell me what you wanted to do when you grew up, when you were little. The wackier, the more wonderful. So shout out, tell me, what did you want to do when you were little? Singer, dancer. What? Baked pork pies. Amazing, amazing. And did you make mud pies? Yeah. Me too. So you had some singers, just one or two more? Astronaut. Ah, amazing, amazing stuff. You know, when we were really little, we had the ability to believe we could be or do anything. We were really creative in our thinking. We would daydream, and you probably went to the moon as an astronaut, and you made pork pies, albeit mud pies, but you had the ability to do these things which when you were in your own head, in your own creativity, in your own imagination, you were able to just do and be whoever you wanted to be. And I think as we get older, unfortunately, you know, life gets in the way. In some ways, life is great, but it kind of stifles our creativity and our ability to think that we can be or do anything. And so that brings me to the first letter of my acronym, which is L for LEAP, because I believe that actually, if you take a minute to listen to that little voice that you had in your head when you were little that took you to all of those places where you could make believe and be and do anything that you wanted to, you might stumble across the thing that actually, as an adult, you might love doing. I don't know, you might be a master pork pie maker now, I don't know. For me, when I was little, I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to look after people and heal sick people, and I was very cute as a little girl. But some of the other things that I enjoyed doing, I also enjoyed making mud pies. I was a fashion editor. I made amazing magazines out of pieces of paper. And one of my favorite pastimes was teletext. Everyone remember teletext? How can you make teletext into one of your favorite pastimes? Well, I did. One of my favorite things to do was to get up on the TV, press the button, and bring up teletext. For those of you that are not familiar with teletext, it's just basically text on the screen, like a news service in text. So I used to put on teletext, and I used to stand there and read teletext for ages. It was my favorite thing to do. That and Bamboozle. Anyone remember Bamboozle? which was the game on teletext. The reason I mention it, though, is because actually my joy for standing in front of a screen of words is a massive clue as to what I now do as a presenter when I'm reading auto cue. Do you get the I saw a few people like, I get it. And so actually, there for me was the clue in what I wanted to be as an adult. And it's only now when I look back and I think, wow, I was doing many, many things which actually set me in good stead for what I'm doing today. So I didn't always know, though, that voice was silenced for a while. I moved to London, I was working, I was doing some charity fundraising, I was a recruitment consultant, and actually as a recruitment consultant I was earning very well, I had a really good career, but I didn't feel content. I wasn't particularly happy with the job that I was doing, because I had this little voice at the back of my head telling me that I should be doing something else. I should be working in media. I should be talking to people. And one day, one unremarkable day, someone said to me, oh, you know, you're doing really well in your job in recruitment, how's it going? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. And then they said, so, you know, where can you see yourself going? And the little voice suddenly became the big voice, and it came out of my mouth. And I said, actually, I want to be a TV presenter. I don't know where it came from. It just came out of my mouth. And I've been trying to think in anticipation for this, what set me up that day to actually make my dream a reality by saying it out loud. It just came out of my mouth. Now, I was expecting this person I was talking to look at me strangely, because I'd never said it out loud before. I'd never said I want to be a TV presenter, because I was fearful of being judged, that people would laugh at me. Of course you do, it's easy, anyone wants to do that, of course. But actually, she said, oh yeah, I can really see you doing that. You've always wanted to do that. So somehow, without even realizing it, I was emanating this thing that I wanted to do. And it just took me listening to that voice in that moment that gave me the courage to say it out loud. So that I thought, you know what, I need to get some wheels in motion here, and I need to start moving towards this path of becoming a TV presenter, which takes me to E of LEAP. E stands for equip. So I didn't just suddenly quit my job, my well-paid job, and go about being a TV presenter. I stayed in my job for another year. I saved up for a whole year. As I said, I was earning quite well. Since I've lived in London, you know, I've always had to pay rent, and you know how much it can be. At the time I was living with my boyfriend, we had a mortgage together, and so I was paying into that. I was pretty happy, but I was making sure that all of my extra money that I was earning was going into a pot for me to be able to support myself when I had to take an inevitable pay cut. I knew that by going from one industry to another without any experience, I was probably going to be earning next to nothing. And I was right, actually. So I equipped myself, not only financially, but I started making contacts with people, speaking to people. Who do you know in media? Who can I speak to? Is there anyone that you think you can put me in touch with? I ensured that my support network, my friends, my family knew what I was up to. I hadn't told my employers yet, but everyone else was in on it. And I was just equipping myself both mentally and financially to be in a position where soon enough I'd be able to take the leap. So, after a year of equipping myself, I went for it. I handed in my notice, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go and work in media. My bosses, my workplace said, okay, yeah, fine, go off, do that. I can see you doing that. They were supportive as well. And I'd like to say that, I took action, I went and did it, and everything was fine, and here I am speaking to you today. If this was a film, at this point there'd be like one of those dramatic record scratches which says no, it didn't quite work out like that. Yeah, so just as I was about to take action and leave my job, I'd already handed in my notice, so essentially I'd left my job. Well, what I like to call my support network, my support pillars, I had my job, I had my relationship, I had my house, my mortgage, and my support network, my friends. 3 of those things crumbled. The only thing I had left were my friends and my family. My relationship, out of the blue for me, just broke down, which meant that, you know, we were in this mortgage together. So all of a sudden, well, I didn't know where I was going to live anymore, and I had no job, so I had no income. So the listening to that voice I had done, the equipping I had done, I couldn't have anticipated that was going to happen next. And I was scared. I was very, very scared. I found myself living in a different part of London with someone I had never met before. She was lovely, but what it meant was that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep and I couldn't eat, because at night time I was lying awake thinking, what have I done? I've just walked out of an amazing job. I don't have my partner that I've been with for 4 years. I don't have my home anymore. And this is really scary. I was a bit of a wreck, a bit of a mess. One morning, after another sleepless night, I suddenly had this thing of, I need to get away, I need to get out of London, I need to go somewhere because I cannot cope with this. I don't know what I'm doing day to day. I don't know what I was thinking. So I decided, I've got some savings, I'm going to spend money on a ticket, I'm going to go away to Europe, and I'm just going to get myself out of this situation. This is making me breathless. So yeah, I bought a ticket, an interrailing ticket, and I went off to Europe for a month. I went to France, I got the train over to Switzerland, I went by myself, I went off to Italy, and I met some amazing people, I ate some amazing food, drank some delicious wine, and I had a lovely time. But by going away, what it meant was that I was forced to think about something other than my immediate reality back at home. I didn't have to think about the dire situation that I was in. And so, yeah, I felt that I was beginning to build myself up again. And that last pillar, my friends and my family, they were there to support me through that difficult time. They were there to help me put myself back together again. So when I came back, yeah, I was ready. I needed to listen to that voice. And in fact, it was listening to that voice which made me buy the ticket in the first place and take the leap to go away. And then it was, again, equipping myself to just go off and do that thing. So I was going through those steps again, but for different reasons. But when I came back, I was ready to really take action. So those people, those contacts, those connections that I've made, I reached out to them. I was ready. I could sleep again. I could eat again. I was building myself up, and not just through myself, but through that support, through those friends, through those family. I can't tell you how important they were to me at that time to help me step back into the path that I needed to be on. And so, yeah, I started to take action. I managed to get a bit of work experience. I was running on this set. I got in with someone's brother who was doing red carpet events, and I was fetching teas and doing this, that, and the other, and basically just being an extra pair of hands. But the more I did, then suddenly the more experience I started to build up, the more seriously people took me. They realized that actually I am committed to what I'm doing. I am making some sense, and I am contributing. One really significant thing that I did was I joined an internet radio station. I volunteered. I just knew that I was able to speak, to present. So every week I would go off on the train up to Wembley, and I would do this radio show. I don't think anyone was listening, but it was fun for me to do, and I did it week after week after week. And actually, I ended up doing that radio show to very little listeners, only people that I literally begged to send me something on Facebook, tell me you want to hear something. And yeah, I ended up doing it for a couple of years. And actually, it was over the course of a few years that I started to get the odd student gig here, the odd internet gig there. But altogether, it started to build up a little bit of a show reel, to the point where suddenly I had enough material to say, actually, I've got some decent work here, and I got my first paid presenting job. So now I could say, I'm a professional presenter, and that was a really nice position to feel that I was in. I had to, by this point, get a part-time job to sustain myself, because those savings, they don't last forever. And I was doing some part-time work. I got into work one day and I got told, oh, your services are no longer required. Sorry, bye. So I was in work by 9 o'clock, I was home by 11 o'clock that morning. I was thinking, oh no, here I am again. Oh gosh, what am I going to do? But actually, as much as I was slightly panicked, I was also kind of calm, because I thought, I've been in this position before. I've got some part-time work. I can get some more. It's going to be okay. And I just had this sense of calm. Later that day, I received a phone call from one of the guys at the internet radio station. And he said, oh, look, someone's called me. They've said they need a presenter. You were the first person that came to mind because week after week after week, you've been coming here, you've been really professional, you've been really committed. And as soon as I heard that they needed someone, you sprung to mind. And I was like, okay, great, yeah. He said, so are you available tomorrow to do this thing? And I was like, yeah, actually, I am available because I've just been made redundant. Had I not been made redundant, that conversation would have gone something like, oh, I'd have loved to, but I'm not free, I can't get the time off work, I'm really sorry, but do bear me in mind. Because I'd been made redundant, I was able to take up that gig. That gig was a TV programme. It wasn't yet a TV programme, it was a DVD, which was about to go on TV for the first time. It was What's Up TV. What's Up TV, which is now on Sky One, which I'm now the assistant producer of. So it was amazing to me how 7 years ago I got that call, and there's a saying which is when opportunity and preparation collide, that's what luck is. Because it was like a stroke of luck getting that call. But actually, had I got that call a year before, I wouldn't have been prepared because I wouldn't have had a show reel. I wouldn't have had the chance to prove myself as a committed person. The opportunity might not have been there, but the preparation wouldn't have been. So it wouldn't have turned into the thing that it did. So yeah, I like to say that that was around 7 years ago. And 7 years later, I've had the chance to work on What's Up TV. I've had the chance to work on some other amazing premieres. So the job I was doing, fetching the teas here, there and everywhere, well, I'm now the talent producer for the same premieres. So yes, that's why I've been able to rub shoulders with Will Smith, among other people. And I've had the opportunity to interview some amazing people along the way as well. Now, you might be wondering what the P in my acronym stands for, because I've told you about listening to your inner voice, I've told you about equipping yourself, I've told you about taking action, and I haven't said what the P is. And in part, I'm testing yours, your patience. P stands for patience. What I've just described to you took around 10 years to be where I am now. So it's not like this thing happened overnight. I didn't leave my job, equip myself, go for it, and suddenly I'm on Sky One each Saturday. Actually, yeah, it took a lot of work, a lot of determination, and I've loved every minute of it. I mean, yeah, clearly there were some tears in between as well. But generally speaking, I've loved being in a position where I can find myself steadily on my path. And what I'd like for you to take from me today is that actually, if you do listen, if you do equip yourself, whether that's seeking counsel, getting advice, getting some extra training, if you do have the courage to take action, and if you're patient with yourself, you too can take the leap from one life into another. I'm Jacqueline Shepherd, and I took the leap. Thank you, darling.
I was taken away there for a moment. I forgot that I was hosting. Okay, so I wrote them down. I must listen, equip, take action, and have patience.
Yeah.
Okay, I've wrote them down.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Jacqueline? Because she will answer any questions about the talk, anything that's come up from today. Hey.
Hi.
This is lovely. Great
Oh,
start to the day. I was thinking that you had this voice and you took the lead. What's the voice saying now?
Oh, I'm glad you asked me because I remembered a bit I didn't say. So if 10 years ago I was to look at where I am now, I'd be thinking, you've made it, you've done it, well done, you've fulfilled your ambition. And someone said something lovely to me recently, which was, ambition is a journey, not a destination. So as much as I feel like I could have reached my destination, it's a continuous journey. So more TV, telling more stories, connecting with more people and encouraging them to say their story. So yeah, you know, the voice to me is saying, do more, be bigger, be better, continue, keep going, yeah. Hi.
Hi, I've got another question about the voice. How did you know the difference between that voice and what a lot of us have got, maybe you too, your critical voice, the annoying thing that sits there, moaning at you? How, did you know to tell the difference, that this is one you should actually listen
Yeah.
to?
So I guess, the reason I think I said at the beginning about what you did as a child, because I think we were less critical of ourselves as children. And I think the clues are always there, and it's about that voice which is wanting you to be creative, wanting you to enjoy yourself, wanting you to push yourself creatively and kind of get into that comfortable space we were in as children. And I think actually that critical voice probably wasn't there. So it's about, I don't know, just going back, would my child self have enjoyed this thought or this moment? And if so, then maybe I should entertain it a bit more. Would my child voice feel comfortable with this? No, probably not. It wouldn't be an exciting thing for them to go and master. It would actually be something which is going to be stifling or too over-criticising, I guess. And maybe that's how you can make a distinction. But for me, by looking back, I was able to say, I loved doing that thing, so let me try and love doing it now that I'm all grown up.
You have a question,
Hiya.
So what does your morning look like? What do you do to prepare yourself in the morning to obviously the journey from where we are in our kind of, maybe this we take before we take the leap, let's say, to where we're going. Obviously there's kind of like, I find with myself, there's like a mental preparation that I go through to kind of just get myself in that space. What do you do in the morning to get your mind and your body in that space?
So the last few years I've had a vision board actually, and my vision board is now kind of opposite my bed, so it's the first thing I see in the morning, and it does have some of my goals written on there. So even if I'm not kind of consciously thinking, right, today I want to aim to have that holiday, I want to aim to earn that, I want to, my aspiration is to do this, it's going into my head without me consciously thinking about it, where there are some mornings where I'll look and I'll sit and I'll take it in. And yeah, I guess that's one of the things which I've done for myself, because I'm kind of almost forcing myself to think about what I want. I think sometimes, I'm someone who likes to support and help other people. Sometimes you can lose yourself in that. So I make sure that I have my goals there at the front and foremost, but then I'm able to kind of support other people with theirs along the way as well. And I think just having that vision board there kind of helps to remind me about myself and not losing myself in my journey or along the way. I hope that sort of answers. Okay, good.
Linda.
Have you ever had moments where you've sort of wanted to give up, or things are just really, really low? And if so, what did you do to overcome those areas?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there was that big record scratch moment that I had at the beginning of my journey, where just everything kind of fell apart around me. And I think because I've experienced that, which was a really dark time, I couldn't walk down the street without crying. It was horrible. And actually, when I was in recruitment, my boss, I went for lunch one time, I just had to take myself out of the situation, out of work. And the CEO of the company, who I didn't see that often, she just found me crying in a cafe, and I was just like, oh God, this is really not ideal. Because I've had, I think she thought I was sad that I'd left my job, and I was like, no, it's not that. I'm very happy about that. But because I've experienced that, and I've had loss in my life as well, I didn't go into it, but I lost my mum when I was 10 years old. I think when you've had some really deep and dark moments, it's more easy to kind of realise that there is a light. You can't see it at the time, but I'm one of those people where I think, do you know what? Yeah, this sucks right now. I'm not enjoying myself. I want to jack it all in. What's the point? I've definitely had those moments. Like in the last year, I've had moments like that. But then I kind of think, in part, I'm not just doing this for me anymore. I feel a responsibility that I'm on TV as someone who's representative of someone who's not seen on TV that often. So I think about what it is beyond me. And then I just think, you know what? You've gotten through worse things. you've gotten through a relationship collapse, your house going, you know, dealing with grief, you can get through this. So hopefully things won't get too much darker for me, but I think, you know, I've experienced dark, so I'm able to know that from that there is light, and it's just that faith that I've gotten through stuff before, I can do it again. Yeah.
Sometimes we're stronger than we think.
Yes. Thank you.
Mo, me,
Others.
everyone.